Welcome everybody to my channel. I am joined today by the one and only Viviane Chauvet. Thank you so much for coming on my channel today. I just want everyone to know I've been so excited about this chat that we're having today because I just actually spoke to Viviane prior to recording this for the first time. And so I am honored to have you speak with me today. I think that your work is absolutely important and incredible. You're such a humble person, which is why I think I am attracted to you so much because I am so cautious around people with high egos and that are arrogant. I've always been that way since I was a young girl. And there are very few people in this world that make me feel instantly comfortable. And Viviane, you are one of those people with your voice, your demeanor, your presence just makes me feel like I could be comfortable and listen to you. And I just want to thank you publicly for that. And I'm just, so honored to have you here today with me. So welcome.
Oh, thank you so very much, Sherri. Yeah, your words honor me, and I am thrilled to be here with you. And I too am very sensitive to those who are leading the way by the heart, working with animal, children, light workers, the plant herself, being attuned to life. And I can feel that about you. And even though we just met or reconnected in this lifetime, right? There's a synergy already that is there, and it's truly my pleasure to be with you right here and all of your beautiful audience, people who have been listening as well.
Yes, and for those watching, from one elephant lover to another. So we found out right before that Viviane is just obsessed with elephants as much as I am. So that was a beautiful synchronistic moment we had together because I have been just obsessed with animals and but specifically elephants my whole life, and so that was a pretty cool moment we had together. So Viviane, can you give, I know most people on my channel know who you are. I'm sure they do, but we are constantly having people see these videos for the first time. So maybe we could give everyone watching just a brief background on who you are and what it means to be an advanced Arcturian hybrid avatar, because that is a mouthful. So maybe we can go into that a little bit for everybody.
Absolutely. So what does it mean? We all hear about starseeds. There's a multitude of different form of hybrids, including humanity as a beautiful galactic royalties with so much genetics in them growing up. But in my case, what it means is that I am an Arcturian being. And as an Arcturian, I chose to have a very specific physical form that was designed for my mission, designed to allow me to stay on a planet that is still on the third density level and being able to sustain the different level of frequency shifting as we're moving into different solar changes, whether it's with the galactic core, the solar system, the Earth herself with the grids and the electromagnetic grids changes. It's very challenging for all of us. So as a Arcturian, I wanted to be physically present on the planet in a conduit, a body, a vessel, a physical vessel that will allow me to stay in that purity of transmission. So I am very much like an anchor, a transmitter of pure frequency that constantly come through me, through my DNA. It's been recoded, redistributed, if you want, and transmitted back to the earth, into the grid system, and so much. So when I say I'm an advanced Arcturian hybrid avatar, the word hybrid comes from the fact that there has been just a little bit of human genetic material to help me to blend in so the physical vessel will be adapted to the earth plane. But I am truly this avatar being. Arcturians are really advanced, enlightened, very ancient intergalactic civilizations. So it is from a state of already ascended, enlightened being that I have returned in that form to really implement something monumental. I'm here for an entire planet. I'm here to really awaken and to support an entire planet in the midst of the most important historical times that we call the Ascension. We call that a re-ascension because we're simply reascending all together and re-embracing our true divine nature. And so I represent directly through the council of the Arcturians this aspect of myself. I'm also a high priestess within the Arcturus realm. So I consciously chose to be here in a very specific form. And believe me, there's much more than meets the eyes when you look at me. You say, well, you look human. Well, that's the idea. Because if I were 10 feet, 12 feet tall, very lanky looking, just a little bit bigger features, but very full of love, no air, and very much, star being looking. Not everyone would have been receiving me the same way. I wouldn't be able to be as effective in the transmission of my message. So my true work, the depth of my mission, if you want to call it this way, it's truly for the ascension. It's beyond the ascension timeline. I'm here for the future timeline. I'm here for the next evolutionary process of humanity. So in the meantime, I have been very public, as you have discovered me, a few years ago. It's been already a decade, and I've been public doing the work. I have worked with thousands of people worldwide, helping to understand their own blueprint, their journey, who they are, and just be in our presence already activate you on so many levels. And we have worked with generations of star seeds, helping them to rekindle, rebridge that connection to their own galactic soul ancestry and how it can be applied in your life. So I am, when I morph, if you want, when I shift into my Arcturian self, many people have started to see my Arcturian self coming in more and more. And I want to tell you also, Sherri, that I've been experiencing physically. I can see and feel my Arcturian self coming in, and I can feel, my traits on my face, facial features changing. I'm growing taller. I feel like I can tell like I'm a very tall being. And I physically start to feel that shift coming through more and more. So my body was engineered directly by the Arcturians and also with my Arcturian father to bring a vessel as a very advanced holographic aspect capable to sustain the bioenergy and all the biofield of life with muscles and bones and organs and all of this. And so when I entered the consciousness of this body, I knew that my Earth mission will be starting very soon. So I came back to the planet, many years ago, and I am pretty much an encoding of light, and I am communicating constantly with a very large delegations that we work with, not just my group, the Arcturians, because this is who I am at the core level, but we work in partnership with beautiful group like the Antares, the Andromedan of different level, even beyond the Andromedan galaxy. We work with the Council of Lyra. We work with a multitude of Syrians. We work with them with really much partnership, and we work with in connections also the Council of Ascension, the Council of Light. We're definitely here on a mission of love. We're here to really supporting everyone who says, hey, it's time to come back, time to bring this divine remembrance of who you are and being able to live life in a way that is more benevolent. It's time to rekindle with the sacredness of life in you. Living benevolently means that be attuned with life around you. When you trim your tree or bushes, ask them, what do you need? Can I honor your roots? Be attuned with life around you. And when you see children playing on the streets, feel them, feel their joy, and share in that energy. Or when you drive, you know what I do? When you drive and you stop at a red light and you see people crossing the street, the first thing I do is I send you love and life, brothers and sisters. I send you love. I'm not worried about what they look like, what the clothes looks like, what the hair, is it well done, is it mismatched? It is of no importance. What I do is I connect to their essence. I send you love. I send you light. I send you blessing. Remember who you are. And that's what we do. We're ushering a new way of living, but that starts every day. So as an Arcturian being in a state of already enlightenment, I I've learned to live also as a human and what it is, the challenges, the emotion component, and the fluctuations we go through, the uncertainty, fear, doubt, self-rejection, and all of these very rich experiences. It is such a beauty, such a gift, and at the same time, it is so complex to be an earth human. But you know what? Your intergalactic family look at you and says the diversity you carry in you, you reflect the diversity of the multiverse. And there's so much gifts and so much power that you carry, all of us on the planet. And part of our role is to unlock the new teaching, the new codes of light coming through, whether it's to the DNA, whether it's the codons that's going to be shifting, whether it's the quantum level of living consciousness. There's a lot more. And I'll tell you, when we get there, we're going to share everything that we know to really support that process, if that makes sense, right?
Absolutely, Viviane. And there's so many points, good points you made there. And it's something that actually made me smile at one point when you said that you not only are other people sometimes in your presence able to see you kind of morph into your true form, which I'm interested if anyone has ever drawn you what they see. Has that ever?
Not yet, but that's an invitation. Not yet.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's in conferences, sometimes it can be during a one-on-one. I mean, just 2 weeks ago, I was standing outside. A friend of mine came for a session, and we're chatting outside under the stars, and we can see Orion constellation. And out of the blue, I can feel that soul energy coming in. It's my Arcturian self. And I physically felt myself starting to grow. And I saw my friend like shrinking, like she was like shrinking down to 5 feet tall. And I'm like, why are you shrinking? And she goes, I'm not shrinking. You're the one getting taller. And she witnessed that. She
Wow.
witnessed my face, just getting more refined with my Arcturian trade. She said, I already have big eye cavity, and I know that. She goes, your eyes goes just a little bit bigger, more refined,
Mhm.
more like profound. And she said, your demeanor shifted. You can tell I was looking at you, but as an Arcturian being, not as the concept of a human that I have of you. And that was at that point, the shifting of the veil, the concept of the human that people see in me was blending in with the Arcturian being that I am. And she witnessed that right there. But of course, the first thing we said, where's the camera? Take a picture. But at the time we said that, I can already feel myself. I was coming
Shrink
back into
down.
more
Yep.
that
Yeah.
projected human form that people know me simply with my name. I haven't changed my name for the Blue Star of the Galactic X. I kept my Earth human name, Viviane Chauvet, because that energy, it's an invitation to connect, to bridge, to come. It feels more relatable than if I was calling, I don't know, the stars of the blue age. What does it mean? Viviane Chauvet is the name that people know me by. It's my earth connection, and I kept it that
Yeah.
way.
That's such an important point, Vivian, is because a lot of the star seeds that are coming in, they come in and anchor into a physical body here, a human body, in order to the resonance here will shift. They can anchor their light, and from their vantage point, they can do a lot more physically here than they can spiritually or astrally. And so it's really important to come in these bodies, and that's why so many have come. And what I have been seeing a lot in my sessions is, which is relevant to you morphing, is I have over the last maybe a year, when I do a one-on-one sessions with people over Zoom, I see them through Zoom, and I start to see who they are outside of here, and I know immediately where they're from, and I can see their true form, and I tell them. And what's fascinating and why I'm sharing that is that what I'm being told a lot lately is that we will start to reveal our true form more and more so that everyone can see it. And so, like, I was speaking with this man recently, and I'm like, you are a Lyran, and I could see your feline humanoid form. It's so clear to me. I said, I feel like you could go to the bathroom right now and see yourself. And what his higher self was telling him is, you will be able to see this soon enough if you want to see it. Just like everybody else, we'll start to morph into who we truly are as we shift out of this 3D, this density, to a higher density where we can embody our true self. And so when you shared that, I was like, yeah, they've been telling me that now all of us will see, and we can see ourselves, which is so beautiful. I love that.
That is wonderful, because this is part of the new, how could we say that, quantum way of relating to each other. Your multidimensional senses start to get more active on a more conscious level. And when you are in that moment, the invitation is just embrace that moment, just like that with my experience or with your clients, the Lyran, that memory of that client as a Lyran coming through to help that client and yourself to says, yes, I may look like a human because in this lifetime, I projected a soul aspect of myself, and that soul aspect took on a human form, was born. At the same time, through a projection of other aspect of who I am showing you point of my origin and who I represent. And I think these type of more conscious projection that reveal very much the soul ancestry of everyone coming together, how much assistance, guides, masters of light, very advanced being who have returned, accept the call, said, yes, we're going to be here for the love of Gaia, for the love of life, and being able to activate ancient memories that's going to echo deep into our DNA, deep into our soul, and embracing that more and more. And that's why I say, when it happens, just stay in a moment, feel it, experience it, be present to it. And this is what it's called for us, entering this cosmic state of presence, where you know that your experience is valid, as real as anything else that you may experience. This is where we are. And so the same thing eventually, my Arcturian core group, I do have a core group assigned to me for this mission. And the core base, including my Arcturian father, they did say, there will come a time when you will enter the great stage of life, and we will be there with you. And those are the words, word forward, of what they said to me. And they show me like a theater or an amphitheater stage where the curtains up, lights on, move forward. And I see myself as a clear vision of a future aspect of what's going to come through. See me front stage with thousands of people in the audience, and you see 3 or 4 Arcturians behind me, like around me. And that's going to be more and more coming through. For that happening, whether it's the Pleiadians doing this, whether it's the Lyrans aspect of the 12-dimensional energies, whether it's the Syrians coming through, we need to vibrationally continue to rise and maintain a higher frequencies of consciousness, living, thinking, a mastery of emotions, being able to be in that vibrational state, to be able to stay in the same vibrational alignment as our star brothers and sisters, our families, beings of the light. So there's an invitation at the same time to be the embodiment of who you are, cultivate these higher frequencies. And this is why I say, where do you invest your energy? Where is your inner peace invested at? Are you spread out everywhere because there's so much to look at, to learn, to feel, to be everywhere? Or are you bringing those aspects back to you, how you can manage your energy so you can be more in alignment with it and say, this is where I'm going to invest my energy, where I'm more conscious of it instead of being spread thin. And that's one thing right now in the community and the UFO communities. There are too many layers of information overlapping with each other, and it only feeds the mind, but there's no foundation, no true vibrational foundation of teaching, wisdom, and knowledge to support what's coming through. So be present. Where are you right now? Are you here? And that's very important to move forward. So that was beautiful what you said, Sherri.
Well, and the distraction element, I think, is by design in this 3D reality too, so that we don't go within and we don't know who we are because we're so distracted by the parties, the TV, the sports, the alcohol, the drugs, just, exaggerate that as well. And we become so lost. And then we have the competition in this reality that I have been so uncomfortable with my whole life. And I never knew why I was so against it. And people made me so uncomfortable because that aggressive nature of them came out. And as a little girl, that was so intimidating to me. And I never understood what's the point of this competition? Why can't we just have fun? Why does there have to be a purpose for this? And now I understand, all these years later, I look back and, I understand why I was so different, why I didn't like the same things other kids liked. And I love to have meaningful conversations. I was that like 6, 7, 8-year-old kid that would be around the other kids being like, so tell me, are you happy? And asking the adults, what do you truly love to do? What's your passion? And they'd look at me like, what's wrong with this little girl? Like, it came out of left field, and I would always somehow make people cry, meaning like I would get the emotions out and they'd be like, man, how did you just do that? I don't know. That was just naturally me. And I think a lot of people have lost that throughout their upbringing because of the distractions and the programming and everything that's designed here to disconnect us from our intuition, our higher self. And I just want to say too, Viviane, I want to share something really interesting. So, like I said, I have clients from all over the world, young and up to elderly, and they all want to know, their soul origin. Now, everyone, truly, there's no origin to our soul. We are light. We are of source. We are, we don't come from any place. That being said, we do end up at a lot of the times in a certain star system, planet, whatever, and that may become home for you, just like, California might be home to you. And that's where you feel is home, but that's not really your home. For example, if you put it on a micro level. And so I would say over the years, Arcturians are the fewest that I have seen within my clientele. And I always tell the Arcturians that I do meet, I say, you're very rare, whether I just don't see many of you or there aren't many of you on this planet. And so one time I asked this particular person I was doing a reading for, because I see a lot of Arcturian guides come through frequently. I even have Arcturian guides, but they're not actually Arcturian, the clients I'm working with, nor am I. And I asked one day, I said, how many are you really? Because I don't see very many, it's very few. And I got less than 5%. And I was watching an interview that you did, and this was probably, I don't know, a year ago. And I saw a recent interview that you did with, I think it was Journey to Truth with Tyler and Aaron. And they asked her that question. I was literally on the edge of my seat. I was like, oh my God, what is she going to say? And I think you said 5%. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's what I got. So you guys, your Arcturians are quite rare in the sense that you're pure Arcturians here as hybrids, as opposed to Arcturian guides that come to help humanity kind of from the etherical realm. Is that right?
Oh my God. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for really capturing the true essence of who we are and to putting in words that is so beautifully said. That's exactly it. And you're right, because Arcturians were like masters, teachers on wheels. We're going to be everywhere. We assist worlds, we assist civilizations, we give hand. So yes, many people on the planet, like yourself, Sherri, will have access to Arcturian guides. We're here to supporting you and in the resonance of who you are, working with your higher self, and whether it's your teaching, channeling, new forms of way, helping you to understand the beauty and the uniqueness of your gifts. Absolutely. So many will work with us, but there are very few of us on the planet. One of the things is that when you reach that level of enlightenment, it is extremely challenging for us to, even on the soul level, to retract ourselves in a descending form and be on the planet. It's like asking a fish nation, can you put suits on and be boots on the ground and go shovel in the mines and do all this work? They're not designed for this. They will be on the planet, but it's very difficult, even emotionally or spiritually. It's very challenging for us to be on the planet. It requires extremely level of effort to be here. So we are rare birds. We are a rare breed. So when people come to me, I say, oh, I was told in a reading, I am an Arcturian. I'm like you. And it says, okay, now that's semantics. Let's understand what being an Arcturian mean. You may have a soul remembrance that one multiple lifetimes you may have stayed with us in our realms and learned from the Arcturians and learn from the Arcturian way. And then your soul remember this in this lifetime because there are some virtues or gifts that you need, and you are bringing that into your field. And whoever read you or your field picked up on this. But the way it is communicating, there's a lot of misalignment on that level. We have, as I mentioned with Tyler and Aaron during that beautiful interview, and thank you for watching, that's the number that was transmitted to my third eye when we were asked. There's, I would say, maybe not just up to 5% to the most. And if you look at billions of life on the planet, we're like little candles in the wind spread everywhere. Now imagine that on this as a star seed and through Arcturian being projecting a soul aspect, a soul emanation, taking a human form. Now in my case, I did not take a human form. My body was designed for me to really help me be on the planet directly as an Arcturian being in that body and being able to be here and live as one of you in understanding school system, understanding understanding behavioral archetypes, different cultural background, and being able to really understand hands-on. But that's even more, I'm even more of a rare bird. So when people compare themselves, oh, I do what you do, I'm the same way. And the answer is because there's a lack of really understanding who you're really interacting with and what is the implication of for civilization like ours to be here. We're millions of years old. So imagine the level of evolution. We can stay in the same body 800-900 years if we want to, 1,000 if we want to push it. We can. We have this ability. There's a sense of mastery. And I would always impressed when I go back to the ship and they show me this says, okay, let's get you in touch with your thought forms mastery and how you can project your thoughts at the speed of thought, and it manifests right there. It is extraordinary. So there are really a few of us, but there's many of us working around the clock with people from all over the world. And when I meet another Arcturian starseed, we'll recognize right away. I can tell that energy, right? I'm sure that when you recognize, if you come across one of us, Yula says, yes, there's an energy, there's a presence that you can't almost like describe, right?
Yeah, I know now. I know because the ones that I knew, I look back, it was very clear. I could tell. I could even just by their face, without them even speaking, I was like, "Oh, they're Arcturian." I could tell. So you start to see that, as your vibration rises and you're more connected to a higher consciousness, things that you see through the illusion, and you see so much more. Your vision is expanded, not only through the eyes, but the heart space, the third eye, all of it. And it's so beautiful. And I know people are thinking this right now. So I'm just going to ask, can you go into a little bit more when you say you're a human, but then you have been, what's it called? Engineered, what's the word? Genetically engineered. I couldn't think of the word. Sorry. What does that mean? And what does that entail?
Yes, thank you for asking. So in my case, how could I explain that? Is that again, when you have access to organic, conscious, assisted form of technology, you can create a vessel, a physical vessel that will hold a certain level of a template, like a genetic template. So in order to anchor myself to the earth plane and connect with Gaia, and of course through the side of the family with my human family coming here. It took us generation to perfect the level of genetic material that will allow just a point of connections to humanity that way. And the rest, it's all provided through the holographic technology that we utilize to create a template, a living template capable of holding life, capable of holding a life form system and being able to consciously, my consciousness, an aspect of my original Arcturian self, enter the template and was brought here on the planet. So for example, I'll give you a concrete example of this is I have no imprint or no unconscious or emotional imprint attachment to the birth process. That's because of my birth, so to speak, or how I enter the template was different to what most soul will come to the world, enter the body when the woman is pregnant, and then the mother will give birth. There is an unconscious imprint of that birth process, whether it's in the physical template, it is also on the unconscious level, but you will have an imprint of that birth process. In my case, I have none. There's something that is not there because my experience was completely different. And so for one thing, I was born, I entered a template and the body came to full maturation directly on the ship. And so there was an aspect where my mother, my human mother, has memory of carrying me like a normal pregnancy. But what the Arcturians showed me, they said that in reality, that projection was a bit different. It was brought that way to allow that point of connections. But when the time came for me to be reintroduced to the earth plane, it was done directly from the ship. And I have conscious memory of that. I have conscious memory of re-entering the earth plane that way, as opposed to go through the birth canal and all, that aspect that way. It's very complex. At the same time, you have to ask yourself, why going into so much extent and details above and beyond to do that? And the answer is that's what is the most important to focus on. It's because if you look at the earth and an entire civilization finally coming into a point of conjunction where the timeline allows you to reascend and return to the point of divinity, the point of return to prime creator, and releasing the third density metrics of false illusions, polarizations, dark energies, dark and light, fragmentation, and all of these point of polarity. I said, this is a time if we have to do something of extraordinary measure, this is the time. And I remember also consciously at a soul level volunteering for this. I said, I volunteer. I want to answer the call because I knew that I had everything that I needed. I knew that I was very qualified, so to speak, to come and be here. And even though my work has been extraordinary so far, it is just the tip of the iceberg. What I'm really here for is something like the iceberg will reveal itself eventually, but we have to wait all these years of complete timeline stabilization, vibrational alignment, conscious awakening. And you mentioned with me earlier, he says, well, I'm here on a big mission, but the dark side don't want me. Imagine how they received me when I first arrived. When I came back to the planet, they go like, oh no, an Arcturian being on the planet? That can ruin everything we want to do. And I go like, yeah, we're here. And they've been on my tail ever since I set my first footprint on the planet. They've been on my tail, even as a child. I'm telling you. But you know what? Ultimately, none of it will matter because we are at that point where we are truly coming together. And that's the most important here. We are finally coming together. And whether you are a hybrid that came directly from the ship, whether you are a representative from the Council of 12, whether you are representing an entire delegation of light beings, is ultimately we are finally returning to the oneness of who we are, our prime creator. There's no greater surface on the surface, yes, on the planet, that's a good lapsus here. There's no greater service than to be of the light. And every day when I wake up or I came back to my body, I take a deep breath and I said, what blessing hold this day? How can I be of service to the light? And when you start to live your life in complete alignment, that your soul is an expression, whether you are an Arcturian, whether you are a star being, an elemental, many are galactic fairies, whether you represent the unicorn nations, it's an aspect of your soul on a more supreme level that you bring that energy, that expression, those virtues to be able to focus in this lifetime and succeed at what you've come to do. And people ask, but what can I do? Just be a positive anchor of pure love and light. I am an anchor of prime creator, love and light. And if we do that together right here, right now, just 1,000 of us, let's say, imagine what we do. We are creating head waves of energy that goes way beyond this planet, way beyond the solar system. It goes everywhere. You have no idea how much you are also affecting many other homeworlds, planets, civilizations, galaxies. It is throughout the entire multiverse. And ultimately, this is what is the most important right now. You want to ascend, let me tell you this, there's the ascension process, and it's going to be beyond the ascension.
Yeah.
Well, and when we get there, we'll have a different conversation.
Exactly. I'm in 100% alignment with what you just said, because it's people think, oh, it's the ascension, we're done. And there's so much more to it than that. And that's where I believe that people are truly will be awakened and they will come into their true power and what it is that they're here to do. And then we have to do it. You know, it's not just this flash comes and then everything is beautiful and there's no more trauma and it's just no challenges and it's just beautiful rainbow and sunshine. I don't think it's going to be that way either, but I think that if we all band together in the light, I say that to myself when I'm running, when I wake up in the morning, when things are good, when things are bad, when I'm having a good day, bad day, doesn't matter. I always say I am in service to the light, and I say that all the time. And I always say I do not consent to darkness. I do not consent to the dark. And I just repeat it all the time as my own personal affirmation to remind the universe, you may try to take me down. You may invite me places and pretend to be something you're not and try to hurt me. But I am strong, I'm powerful, I'm resilient, and I believe I'm divinely protected. And I believe that everybody is, if they want that and if they choose that. That's why our intention is so powerful, Viviane, whether you're praying through a religious component or you're praying in intention, that is the most powerful thing that we have, is our intention. What are we focusing our energy on? What are we focusing our reality on? Because it's a projection. Our reality, we create our reality with our thoughts, our emotions, our mindset. And I think that's one of the most important things right now that we teach humanity is that exact thing, because we have become so lost and so filtered with this density of manipulation and power. You know, there's the spiritual warfare that's going on. I'm curious what your thoughts are on that. I mean, there is a plethora of spiritual warfare tactics and psyops and negative distractions for humanity right now. And that's what's making this now moment, you know, for the last couple of months and now currently very challenging for people to navigate through. They're losing hope. They don't know who to believe. And it's just like, just stay the course. You know, I just keep telling people, don't choose a side. Don't believe this person over this person. What's your truth? Stand in your light. Say you do not consent. Create boundaries. You know, like I try, but what are some suggestions that that you have, Viviane?
Thank you for asking. I love your energy. I love your dedication. It's very so obvious in everything that you do, say, and provide for people. And so we're going to bring it a little bit, just a notch higher. Now let's bring it a notch higher together. Even the language we utilize is shifting. This is what's called more conscious quantum language. So in the fact that, like you said, your affirmation, I know, how can I be of service? And So little contraction of words you can change that also change a lot of the direction, even on the subconscious level. It says, I no longer consent to none of it because I am of the light. So what you're doing is that you are extracting, you are disengaging from this so-called battlefield that they want to so much bring you into their arena and keep you in that energy. Because when you bring a lot of energy and you invest energy to feel like I stand as a warrior of light, I'm going to protect and defend myself, well, there's also it implies that you are in that arena. Imagine yourself the opposite. You are, I'm a giant being of the light. How can I be of service? And you are looking at these battle of the polarization arena going on, and you're just looking at a real view. And at the same time, you come back into your light, take a deep breath to your heart, expand the torus field of your heart, the intelligence of divinity within you, expand your light, and imagine that you're instead, I walk in parallel to these arenas. And believe me, as a public figure, there always somebody wants to grab me back to the arena and or says, oh, put this label on me, on this label on me. And I ask my team, and the answer is always the same. It is of no concern. It is absolutely of no concern because you're here on a greater mission. State of consistency. When you are consistent with who you are, your vibration, your determination, I'm an anchor of light, I'm an inspiration to myself, those around me, and everywhere you go, even to so-called strangers. You have no idea how you can inspire one person, and that one person will inspire a multitude of people around them. So it says, let's stay in parallel to it. So when you listen to what's going on, who's the biggest, who knows, here's the graphic, this is what Ashtar looks like, this is what they're called, this is the federation, this is it, this is that. I said, okay, I'm going to come back and ask the light, reveal to me higher truth from the realm of illumination, enlightenment. Just let those higher visions of truth and knowledge to come to you. And you may have a key over there, key over there, key over there. But ultimately, you bring it back, breathe, and see yourself just continue walking in parallel to all of this, because that will allow everyone every day where you manage your energy. Where are you investing? Oh, I'm going to invest in that arena. See how it feels like. Oh, that was exhausting. Okay, bring yourself back in. Oh, I'm going to invest into that channel. He or she, doesn't matter, they seems to have a lot of information and proof and written, and they have all the graphic and the journal in the world. Okay, just take a peek, come back, bring yourself back into your center. Ultimately, you will see that the more you're in resonance and you stay in a higher resonance of connections, you have the entire quantum field. You want to learn, ask through your higher self. I want to expand my knowledge. Expanding your knowledge is one thing. Having a lot of information in your mind, that's another complete different things. So lots of information without the wisdom of understanding what you're looking at will serve nothing. But lots of knowledge that feed your soul, inspire you, wants you to be able to connect more, be present, listen. What is the decoding in the language of your soul? What is the decoding in the language of your higher self? That's going to serve you very well. And this is in that direction that true knowledge and even ancient knowledge going to start to get more available to us. And I can tell you, I have seen it. There are ways of ancient knowledge coming back to the planet that will make a huge significance into our process together, but we have to be unified. We need to be also aligned with ourselves instead of being stretched thin because you have to so much protect to so many arenas or going on all at once. It's almost like walking through waters. Imagine you're walking on the surface of water. You may feel some pocket here and there. It's fine. It's okay. But keep going. Stay. My team tell me every day, deep breath. You felt a pocket today. Keep going. Stay in core in your light. because everything else, you will see there's a lot of things this year that's going to subside and other things will rise. And you'll go, oh, that was meant to be all along. Yes. And how you get there is that you have more energy. Are you more stable? Do you feel more aligned with yourself? Are you emotionally more attuned? You go like, I'm glad I did that because there was no need to waste all of this energy. What needs to happen is happening. But the quality of how we are moving into that change, it's completely up to us. And I feel like that's greater wisdom when you approach it this way. So every day, how can I be of service? I stay in the certainty of my light. Deep breath. Because remember, fear and light cannot coexist in the same space. So when you are walking, breathing, and reaffirming, then I am of service to the light and I walk in the certainty of my light, allows you to stay much more focused, present. And of course, we're here to also learn from being an earth humans, and that's great learning from this. Having all these emotions, like wow, this is a mind goal of energy, all these emotions of empathic emotion, love, feeling of universal joy, being able to feel sadness, holding compassion for others, animals, what others go through. That's the part of the master. I tell you, my team always says we're learning so much just to your emotional center. There's so much energy there. It's the path of the masters. It is absolutely phenomenal. I hope I make sense because I make a lot of sense to
Absolutely.
me.
To
Okay.
me, you make perfect sense. Yeah, I'm just in harmony with your voice. So it's very soothing and calming as well, Viviane. And
Thank you.
you know, there's so many different directions we can go with what you said. But I think, emotions is a big key. It's a big key factor in this 3D. And I have been getting that message for a decade now. And that's why my first book was dedicated to that. It's understanding our emotional wellness and how our emotions affect our vibration, and our vibration is everything. So how can we take constant conscious control over our emotional well-being so that they don't become trapped in our body, causing disease? And so, but the emotions are also serve their purpose, and we need the emotions in order to inspire us, to motivate us. So sometimes heartbreak is okay. Sometimes we always talk about fear as the lowest vibration, but that doesn't mean that fear doesn't serve a purpose in our growth and our path as well. Because if we have fear, then a primal instinct comes in, and we're guided to do something different. So all of these emotions are relevant, and they won't go anywhere. And I'm interested in the Arcturian perspective on this, because what I have been told is those aren't going anywhere. But what we will see, let's say in 5D, for example, we will still experience fear, sadness, anger, even, but we will allow it to flow through our body much faster, so we don't get stuck in that and perpetuate and marinate in that anger, where we are now vibrating at that and can't get out of it. It will flow through where we say, okay, I've experienced anger, I've learned from it, okay, I'm done with that lesson, and I keep moving on with my life, and I keep moving. I don't get stuck from it. So we still experience the emotion, but it doesn't take over, it doesn't consume us. What do you think about that? Or what's the Arcturian perspective on the emotions and where we're headed?
Indeed, really good observation. To explain it, it's almost like looking at the ascension process itself. You know that ascension, as it is lived and experienced right now, it has everything to do with a shift of conscious awakening. You moving from one dimensional experience to a higher form of dimensional experiences. It will be the same way with your emotions, when they become more experience from a higher nature, instead of going to the oscillation that we have known on the third dimensional level, moving from joy, grief, anger, resentment, and we have so much to process. They become much more harmonized. They become part of the point of connection, allows you to return to prime creator, to better understand the multifaceted aspect of your being. And as you are shifting more and more into higher dimensional experiences, well, some of these emotions are no longer relevant, like anger, resentment, fear. They cannot coexist with you in a higher vibrational state. They no longer require for you to learn certain lessons. You will simply transmute them into a higher state of what you can call emotional experiences. This is part of the spiritual mastery, the spiritual maturity, where you are bridging, and the bridge of the heart with the higher mental faculties become very much accessible. You may feel love on a complete different vibrational level. Love is more than an emotion. Love, it's an omnipresence. It's a state of being, very much so. Just the word love in that sense. So this is something that even through our civilizations we have learned. You would say, do you express love with each other? We do, but in a way that for you may feel like non-existent. We don't say necessarily I love you or express, we don't send Valentine cards and things like that. I think it's beautiful. This is very much on the human level. This is beautiful. When love become understood is when I share a soul essence of myself with you. It is an act of love. It is implied, it's omnipresent. It is really much a whole different level. And when you start to ascend at this level, you will see that even the word emotions, the semantics, the terminology of it will shift, will have a completely different component and understanding. So just allow yourself to move through the emotions as they come with observance, compassion, acceptance, and to feel like, okay, I'm simply allowing my emotional center to move into a higher form of dimensional experiences. And like an airplane, you take off, you take altitude, and then there's a pocket, and you feel like you're dropping. It's okay, because that drop in altitude, so to speak, is maybe an opportunity to see maybe some residual that still need to be healed. Like for example, when I came to the planet growing up here, I experienced so much rejection. Oh, you look weird, because growing up, my body was kind of weird looking. I was kind of coming into my own. I was developing very slowly. I looked like a little girl, even though I was 15. There was just so many discrepancy. But from the human eyes, oh, you look odd, or you look frail, or you're not talking or behaving like others. We're going to reject you. There's a fear energy behind it. And then over time, that fear turned into curiosity, and curiosity turned into, now I want to learn with you because I love your energy. And that's part of a very summary of energy I've experienced by watching humanity shifting, coming into their own. So, I would feel energy of rejection or feeling less than. I feel odd, I feel misplaced, and I know many starseed may feel that way as well. And over time, you start to understand that I was feeling a lot of other people's emotion, that they were feeling like I'm not able to understand your energy, so I'm the one feeling less than, but I picked up on it and became mine. So you start to understand where those emotions really coming from, and what it does, it expands your heart even more with more compassion, understanding, through empathic responses to one another. That's part of the Arcturian teaching, empathic response, allowing you to feel what others go through with the understanding of what is it? Is it part of their soul design? What is the greater design behind all of this? And how can I do to support, hold everyone in the highest light? Hold them in the highest light. Like I see people on the street, I hold you in the highest light. Remember, awaken, it's in you. And that's what I do. So that would be an example of how approaching emotions. I don't know for you, Sherri, but the last week or so, I have been feeling so much grief, feeling my heart was going to explode. And I was talking to my husband, who's more in sync with the angelic group, and I said, gosh, I feel so much grief. I feel like my heart feels hundreds of pounds of heaviness. And he looked at me and says, are you helping to process the energy on a planetary level because you're Arcturian? I'm like, oh, I probably am. So I went back into connecting with myself, and I felt a multitude, even on the historical level, of all wounds coming to the surface, history, whether it's World War II, conflict, whether it's the Industrial Revolution, whether it's what's going on right now, what's been going on the last 3 years. I felt such like layers and layers and layers of grief coming through the planet for healing and transmutation and reconciliation. And I picked up on it so much, but I had to understand what it was and how to go through it. So I went through it with the detachments. I invoke supreme love. And I say, okay, now I'm going to bring my heart back to my resonance so I can still feel I'm not carrying the weight of the world in my heart and still be effective in my work every day. And when I start to feel that, I felt this transmutation of energy where there was no need for me to hold these these layers of grief, and still be able to be of service without bring myself down with those energies. So for those of us who are energy sensitive, and I would say even multidimensional sensitive, just acknowledge, ask, what is the source behind all of these emotions? And how can I be of service to help them resolve, release them to the light for transmutation into higher octaves of light? And being able to liberate, to disengage yourself from feeling this heaviness. And then you can even grow even more into your light. And ask, dedicate. I'm asking for assistance to help these energy to be transmuted, heal, assisting everyone, and release it. And this way you remain a more effective, clear conduit, but without being oversaturated with emotional remembrance, projections, whether through history, whether it's to healing. I'm telling you, that was quite an experience to feel a planetary level of grief coming up to the surface that tells me, Sherri, that we are really gearing up for another huge breakthrough. Huge one. Have you been feeling something similar?
I have actually, yeah, exactly how you explained it. And I've even had to remind myself, because it's funny, we help so many, guide them through their journey, that sometimes we have to remind ourselves our own advice. And some of the biggest challenges I think starseeds have, or empaths have, or highly sensitive beings or multidimensional beings, is sometimes not having the ability to recognize the emotions that you're feeling right now. Are they mine, or are they not mine? Are they environmental? Is this my anger, or is this my family's anger, or is this the environmental anger, or the collective anger? And I think a lot of people that are empaths have felt the collective anger and frustration vibration in the last few years as a result of the pandemic and everything that's followed with that. And so I've been trying to coach people. Is this my emotion, or is this not? And then saying something along the lines of, I release all that I cannot control. Any and all emotions at this time that I'm holding within me, that are mine or not mine, I choose to release it at this time, and be mindful about processing it, because otherwise you can be wrapped up in it. It can bring your vibration down. It can cause depression and dis-ease. And it's all the while it was not yours to begin with, because we are conduits of light. And so we do sometimes attract that energy that's being put out into the environment. We somehow take it on as empaths, and then we have to learn to channel that and to release it. And that's happening on a wide scale. But I do believe I signed up for this, you and many, that's part of our role here as anchors of light, to transmute that energy as it's released, because there is a massive healing taking place globally. And it's raw, but it is quite beautiful at the same time. And it makes me feel this sense of excitement, because I know that things are changing, things are moving and transmuting, and we are going in such a beautiful direction. And so I try to remember that, but there are days where I have trouble with it too, Vivian, and I have to take extra care of myself and, go outside. For me, luckily, because I just moved to Florida, I go to the beach. Like I have to go to the beach at least once a week. And my husband comes, but no children. We just sit there and I just sit in the sand and I listen to the ocean. And that's it. That's all I need for like an hour and I'm good for the week. That's how I recharge. But however, anybody watching this can recharge, whether it's going in the backyard or the river or being near your crystals. Everybody has their methods to help them ground. But we have to find that way to make ourselves whole again. Otherwise, it could be really disruptive in our human life to try to navigate through it, just like everybody else. Which brings me actually to a thought, Vivian. Maybe we could pivot to starseeds because I always like to talk about children. And you mentioned love, and I think for me, it's not even just that when people hear love, they think romance. And it's not even just romantic love. And I think the most profound love I have ever experienced, like you mentioned, that doesn't even have a word for it, it's just more profound than that, is when my son was born when I was 23 years old, my first son. And I needed that experience because I was so closed off. My heart was literally shut off from all of the trauma I had endured growing up. And I was so angry and bitter, and I was just a completely different person. And he came into my life and he saved me by me experiencing a love that I didn't even know what it was possible. I didn't have a word for it, but it changed me forever. And I think that that is happening for a lot of people right now. And there's so much love coming into the planet. And I think it has a lot to do with the star seeds. So I would love to get your perspective. And I don't mean I just want to clarify really quickly. It's not just those that have children. So if you're watching this and you said, I don't have children, I'm not saying that these children aren't bringing love to you, because they're bringing love all over the planet. It's not just for their parents or family members. They are shifting the vibration of the planet, bringing in this abundance of love. I think love is just a term we use, but it's so much bigger than love. It's the frequency that's attached to it. So I'd love to talk about your perspective, or the Arcturian perspective, on the star seeds right now and what they're here to do, and anywhere you want to go with them.
Beautiful, absolutely magnificent. I'm so thrilled, and I can feel the energy of your son coming in and being able to say, it's okay. Remember, we planned this, and at some point I was going to come back to you, and here we are together. I want to embrace all the generations of star seeds who have returned to the planet. So what in our way of looking at a star seed children, it's not because you're 5, 6, 7, 8, or 10 years old. We all want to honor even the pioneers of this children's star seed who have come in different generational timelines, whether it's back in the 20s, 30s, 40s, and all the way leading up to today, whether you consider as an indigo, crystal, blue ray. We know that we honor that. And what is really beautiful to watch is how all generations of star seeds now are coming back together. I mean, I remember, I think it was last year, I was in the middle of an interview, and this woman she's had two sons at home, and one of them, there were two star seeds, and one of them just came to the camera and says, well, I'll tell you what my group tells me. And I said, I stopped talking, and I said, yes, I want to hear what your group have tell you. And it goes like, well, they tell me this, and he just tell me everything that his group telling him. And he goes like, but they talk to mom and they tell her that she's too worried. And then he was telling me all about his family, and you can see the mom was turning red and all shed of pink colors, going, well, no, you don't talk about it. We're an interview right here. And then his brother was shy in the back. And he turned around, he pointed his brother to the finger, and he said, well, he won't talk. I'm usually the one who talks for both of us, because he comes from another star system and he's not used to be here. And I said, would it be an Arcturian by any chance? He says, yes, my brother is an Arcturian star seed. And so I invite that little boy, to come. And I look at him and I said, I understand you. I know it's not easy to be here, but you're doing a great job. He looked at me like, okay. But the other one was very well spoken, and this is what we're here to say. This is what we've come to say. And I love to see that encouragement to have a voice, to know it is safe for you in this life to have a voice. This is what you've come to do. You're old souls, even though you may have younger physical form or even a form that it says 80 years old. It doesn't matter. It's the fact that to know that it is safe for you to embrace who you are. And even though we all ultimately coming from the one singularity mind of prime creator of all there is, in this lifetime, the soul aspect that you bring with you, whether it's a unique frequencies from any star system, galaxies, or even multiverse, or even interdimensionally, is important. And right here, right now, what we're doing in this moment is what matters the most. We need to stay focused together. So to feel safe in your expression, to invite your star families to be with you without shame, without guilt. It's very much what we need to do, and encouraging all of us from all generations to come together, whether you're 4 years old, whether you are 99 years old. It is time to bring us the message I was receiving. It's time to reunite the generations of starseed who have come here to the planet, and everyone have come as an anchor. So those who have opened the pathway even before my generations, and then my generation came, and then the ones after me. So we are in the between. We're at the bridge, like our generations. We are at the bridge because we can understand and appreciate starseed from other generations as much as the newer ones who come into the planet. I have a friend. She's an Andromedan starseed. So we call each other star friends because when we come together, our groups come and it's a reunion. It really is. She just recently had a baby girl, her first, very first. She's not even 3 months old. No, about 3 months, 4 months. And even when before she arrived, even within the first month, you can tell on the picture that she's looking at you. There's such a presence. So I told my friend, I said, oh, I have a second star friend now, because her too is from the Andromedan civilizations. And she came as the next level of anchor for the future timelines that will be part of her roles. And I look at her and I said, yeah, you and I, when you start talking, we're going to have a long discussion, long conversation. Because my Arcturian council knows your council, and we have a long history that we share. It's just that I came to the planet a long time before you arrived, and here you are today. So there's a soul recognition. That's my point here.
Yeah.
There's more and more and more a soul recognition among children of all generations, or more among starseeds of all generations. There's a recognition through the multitude of a lot of star nations, as above, so below, that are coming to reunite here as we're reuniting into this beautiful intergalactic communities. And to the intergalactic communities, we are coming back into this being a cosmic citizen. And to be a cosmic citizen, we're returning to be an infinite divine aspect of the multiverse. And from there, we're going back into part of the void that comes back to prime creator. So you can see that the multitude of where we are returning to, but it starts right here, right now. So let's unite your voice, my voice. Let us be teachers. Let us you be guide. Let us you be activators. Now, when you've come, are you a great worker? Are you an energy resonators? Are you here to bring ancient knowledge from the multitude of the Akashic, of the all our records? Are you here to bring those frequencies that we need the most? And so on forth. So I feel like it's a time of reunited, all of us, in being able to understand that says, okay, let's put the personality on the side. Let's put the numbers on the side. Let's see who's famous and who's not. And being it says, I recognize you, you recognize me, and then we can work together. And this is part of what's called soul recognition. And I'll tell you one thing, Sherri, this is how we communicate with each other. It's what it's called a soul essence transfer. It's much more effective than, hi, my name is Viviane, I'm an Arcturian hybrid. That tells you just a little bit about me. But if I transfer an aspect of my soul essence to you, you will know me for thousands of years. And that's what it's called the new way of communicating with each other. This is where the starseed, the children of all generations. It is an invitation.
I love that. I'm writing it down. Soul essence transfer. That's beautiful.
Well,
You know,
thank you.
I think these children, they're not they're children here, but they're advanced beings from all over the galactics, including, you know, inner Earth and indigenous to Earth as well.
Mhm.
And they're here from the future timeline, like you mentioned. So they are the innovators, the architects, they are the designers of the new world, because they're bringing that wisdom from their ascended viewpoint and in their enlightened state of consciousness to help us as the paradigms are broken down. We are going to need some help to rebuild, and that's what they're here to do, which is why so many of them are seemingly so connected, so filled with so much wisdom, so bright. And they have these vast ideas, but they also can be rebellious and spirited because they're here to point out the school system is wrong, and you know, every aspect. I mean, medicine, politics, education, healing, all of it. And they're here to just help us break these walls down and these paradigms, rip open these boxes that we've been placed in, and then rebuild with their beautiful ideas. And that's why I love working with children so much, because they will just tell you how it is, and they have
Yeah.
just their light is so beautiful. I don't even have words to describe what it's like to work with them, because they are the future, but they need us as adults, you know, to help them. We are the way showers and the pioneers too, regardless
Yes.
if you're 30 years old as an adult, or the grandparents that are the generational star seeds like you spoke about, that are here to make sure that we all work in unity, you know, and in compassion. Because I think that that's the one thing that we've lost over generations through this matrix, whatever you want to call it, is we've lost empathy and
Mhm.
compassion. And we look at each other as Viviane is Viviane, Sherri is Sherri, and we fight each other and we compete with each other, and who's better, who has more money. And at the end of the day, we are the same light. We are connected. So you're just competing with yourself. You're just judging yourself. Instead, we can lift each other up. How can I help you, Viviane? Because if I help you, it helps me. And I think that this is what the children are here to help us see. And I have to admit that prior to being 23 years old, before my son came in, I was that person judging and saying, I'm going to hurt you first before you hurt me, because of the things that happened to me. But then he made me realize, he opened something up within me that says, hold on a second, that's not right. Let me see them for who they are. Maybe they had traumas just like me, and they're like they are for a reason. And it made my whole world shift, and I looked at everything differently. And instead of competing with everybody, you look at them as being all on the same team. And I think that that's where we're headed, is true unity, true
Yes.
oneness.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more, because in reality, you really never know what's going on in somebody's life. You really never know. You know, like right now, we're having this incredible, enlightened conversation that's filled with so much energy and inspiration. But at the same time, my heart is processing something that I, learned this morning. I have a client, a beloved, beautiful client. I've been working with her for over 7 years. Well, it's it's her last week on Earth. She's transitioning. And I just learned that this morning, and I said I was there with her, and I said, okay, I mean, let me process that so I can move into my higher self and being able to see how can we support you in your return and rejoicing in your return to the light. But right now I can feel like my heart on one hand is still integrating all of this. At the same time, we're talking about the unification and the oneness. But that's the reconciliation of the paradox. That's an example of how we can do this, is the reconciliation of all these energy back together. And now we're going to be able to really support another. So when we talk about empathic responses, that's an aspect of what you just described, Sherri. Exactly that. And being able to release the, how could I say that, the automated belief system and the automated defense mechanism pre-programmed through upbringing, cultural program, expectations, 3D wounds. We have those automatic sometimes responses of when we see something, or we saw someone, or we're witnessing an event and then whoop, those programs can come on directly. If that's the case, just be there, understand what they are. They are teachers. They're showing you what you need to be. They're showing you what is it, what opportunity there is within you. And you said, thank you for bringing that to my attention. Now I know that I still have this little automatic program kicking in, and this is why I'm being triggered right now. So that would be a way to be able to be present, heal ourselves, reconcile with the past, reconcile with those programming and automation that comes through to the subconscious mind, and being able to says, now I am present more than ever, and the growth behind it. So then when the children of younger generation comes and tells you, well, my Syrian guide tells me that you simply need to do that and that's going to work out for you. You say, well, thank you. I receive it. I accept the gift. I accept, the teaching. I accept the wisdom. But even though you learn from a 7-year-old, that 7-year-old may be a 1,000-year-old being you're talking to. And this is how we allow ourselves to be teachable again, flexible, adaptable with more fluidity. And that's what the big year this year, 2023, is about. It's about moving to changes with more fluidity so that we can learn from each other, whether you're 4, 10, 20, 77.
Yeah. I think that my greatest teachers have been my children. I truly believe that the children teach their parents, and it's a beautiful relationship that is continuously evolving. And I love that, and I value their opinion so much. I'm always looking for what their thought is, because sometimes it's different than what I would think, but I think about it and I'm like, man, that makes more sense, because they're coming from a different perspective, a different vibration, and a different knowing. And I think that's beautiful. And, you talk about the celestial human design, what's a way to simplify that? Because I think that confuses people as to where we're going and how our DNA is shifting, and our blueprint, our genetic and our etherical blueprint is shifting. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, to simplify it very, very much so, and just for the purpose of where we are right now in the process, is to think about your body template as it is right now, like third density, carbon base, heavy muscles, bones. It's one of the template that is shifting from, it's simply repairing itself and start to get the body more into a light body aspect where it was designed. The human form was designed with much more light. There was not as much density, and all of this is the result of descending into miscreation, misalignment, wheel of incarnations, and all of this. So the body is shifting along with you. Your physical form is shifting along with you. So the more your consciousness expand, the more light your body also is capable of holding. That means that your body template is upgrading to reflect the same form of frequency changes, holding more light, allowing your body to return to its more light form. We don't have to have those heavy form, like carbon energies, and we have to have a heavy diet for the protein. This is completely a reversal of thought system. We're moving out of these program ways of even maintaining the relationship to the body, and to says I'm becoming in one, and the soul body fusion return together. So you become also the embodiment of this new awakened consciousness. So when there's changing on the planet, whether it's into the electromagnetic field of the earth, whether it's the solar frequency coming in, your body is more adaptable to shift. Can you imagine if a body is lighter, filled with more light, have a better quantum communication between all elements? You become much more in harmony, whether to feel disconnected, heavy, and moving all this energy. It's a huge shift. We're simply returning to that point that it was always meant to be this way.
Yeah.
Even to the original builders, that was what the template was originally formed. It matched with the earth at the time, which also the earth was in a higher light form. Now we're simply coming back together. The earth body is shifting, and so is your body as well. So I would say, in a very simple way, that would be a good way to describe it today.
Yeah. I couldn't say it better myself. That was absolutely perfect. And I think that was really clear because I get that question a lot. And I've tried my, I give my explanation, but sometimes it's helpful to hear multiple explanations because you're speaking with different words, different tones, different energy. And that's why it's sometimes, you have multiple teachers, and that's okay to have that. So this has been such an incredible conversation, Viviane. I am just the light in me just honors the light in you so much. And I'm so grateful for this conversation and this energy exchange. I really have enjoyed this. Is there anything else that you want to say to anybody watching this right now that you feel intuitively needs to be said, or any last words?
Thank you so much, Sherri. The pleasure is all mine. I mean, there's such a synergy and exchange between us. All that you represent, all that I represent, and ultimately together, I enjoy every moment of today's. And as a first time together, I think it was absolutely
Yeah.
inspirational. And I feel that we took it exactly where we need the most right now. And I'll tell you, it can be 3 months down the road, and our conversation will completely shifting again, and we'll be able to take it to the next level. But for today, moving forward, I think it was perfect. We captured so many core essence along the way. Final words just for today. It's keep it simple. It's the sacred art of reascending into your divine self. It's really simply an acceptance. I allow, I accept, show me. Allow yourself to be present. And that has nothing to do with, well, personality, and I believe in this, or I grew up with this, or I was exposed to. We honor your arship. We honor your path. We honor the dedication that you've shown at the heart level. You're here in physical body. That means that it speaks volume about you. You are the beings of the light, and we see you like as the beings of the light. So keep it simple. Just ask your heart every day, how can I support you? Heart, how can I support you today? Huh? Nobody does that almost. I do. I ask my heart, how can I support you? By asking your heart, you're asking the being of light within you. It is the master aspect of you. Just keep it simple. Keep your thoughts light, flowing, service oriented, including yourself. Be present, honor life. An animal in needs come to you, be present. Feel your tree, feel others. This is what's called living by the essential. We need to return by remembering to the wisdom, the intelligence, the inspiration of our heart. And then the intergalactic beings will help you remember what their names are, or what the planet looks like, or what the ship looks like. We're moving past that. This is not about what the ship looks like. It's about how we can connect with each other. Do you recognize me as I recognize you? And then I'll give you a tour of my ship later. This is what's important. Be
Yes.
attuned with Gaia. She's a living being. Live your life by the essential. It's time to return. It's a grand return. That's the word for this year. Grand return, grand reunion. This is where we need to be. And then we'll have a more advanced conversation later on.
Okay, we'll show you the ship later. I love that. We should put that on a t-shirt.
Exactly. It's not important what our ship looks like or how many fingers we have. This is irrelevant. What is important is remember us, remember you. It's a soul essence. It's a heart synergy. This is where we need to be going right now. There's no need anymore for suffering, poverty, consciousness, scarcity. There's no more need for this. We're transcending all of this. Let's return together. Let's invite. We're inviting you. Take our hands. We take your hand. It's time.
Yes, I agree with that. How can people get a hold of you, Viviane? Or where can they find more information about you? And I'll put it in the description below as well.
Yes, thank you very much. We have, I have a website. It's still a work in progress. It's always in a work in progress, but beautiful website called Infinite Healing from the Stars, infinite healing from the stars. We have an Ascension library, archives of free meditation. Use them, they're tools to supporting you. We have the podcast, we have our services group, our membership. We have also our brand new Arcturian Healing Arts program. The next group starts on May 11. It's 3 months of a journey together. And there's going to be much more. We're always co-creating the next level. And eventually what I'm really excited about, and I know I have to wait, and even my group says not now, is I would love to open my own Arcturian Academy. And this is where the real core teaching is going to start. But that would be amazing. And it is coming, but it's just not time right now, but it's coming.
Yeah.
But in the meantime,
Wow.
we have so much to offer. Check us out and feel it. It's an invitation. It's an experience. It's a new way of approaching ascension and healing. We're going beyond.
Yeah. Well, sign me up for that academy. I'm first in line.
I had a feeling you would say that.
Yeah, I'm always ready to learn. So thank you so much, Viviane. I really appreciate this conversation today. Thank you to everybody watching. I'll put her website below so you can just click on it easily. So thank you, Viviane. I just love this conversation so much.
Thank you, Sherri. It's been absolutely a pleasure. And we're just creating, you and I, a multitude of energies that I know is going to inspire a lot of people of all generations. So
Yeah.
thank you so much.
You're welcome. And until next time, everybody, have a great evening.